at this rain. You know, I left Scotland in September 2015, which is over 3 years ago now. Can't believe how quickly that time has gone. But the reason I left Scotland in the first place was to experience something new. Now, if you've ever been to Scotland, you'll know it's a great place to visit, great place to grow up and live, great people, great fun, great country. It is, however, undeniably a little bit rainy and a little bit miserable most of the time, so I did think that it would be quite nice to experience a different climate for a while. So I left Scotland and I moved to Australia for 2 years. I lived in Sydney, and that's where I met Kalisi. But after 2 years of a working holiday visa in Australia, it was time for me to leave again. And I wasn't ready to go back to Scotland and back to the rain and the cloudiness. So I decided to come here to New Zealand to work. And we've been here for over a year. And I must say, it's very strange how we can be so close to Australia, yet this country is far more like Scotland than it is Australia. It's crazy. And unfortunately, one of those similarities is the weather sometimes. So just like Scotland, on a beautiful day, New Zealand really is incredible. There's not many other places in the world you would rather be on a beautiful sunny day. But likewise, when it's pouring with rain and it's cloudy and miserable, it brings back those feelings of being in Scotland where it's just ugh. So obviously when it's days like this, I cannot help but think back to the nice sunny warm days you would spend down at the beach in Sydney. I've just bought a coffee from Heather here in a place called the Crib Cafe in Riverton, and we just got chatting, and she's from the UK. She's been here for 2 weeks. Heather, what do you reckon about this weather?
Oh, it's bloody horrendous, isn't it? Just like being back home.
You've not been to Sydney, Heather?
Not yet. It's on the list, on the to-do list.
See, now Sydney is a totally different kettle of fish from here. It's only 3 hours or 2.5 hours on the plane. Different world. You're going to be on the beach, beautiful, sunning yourself up.
Yes, that is exactly what I
That's
need.
where I want to be right now.
Yeah.
You can't do that. If I go down to the beach right now, it's not going to be like that, is it?
Yeah, good luck with that.
I'm gonna go down to the beach. Thank you very much for the coffee. Appreciate it. See ya. Let's go down to the beach. That's what we'll do. Is I'll take you down to the beach here in Riverton. I'll show you what I mean. It's very, very wet out here, but don't worry, my skin is completely waterproof. Okay, so here we are at the beach in New Zealand. Beautiful. This is like a beach in Scotland. Obviously I'm the only person here. There is some sort of sand, but it is just not what you would get in Sydney. This is not the beach experience in Sydney, I can tell you that. New Zealand, I love you, don't get me wrong. You're a beautiful country. The scenery in this country is completely unmatched on the planet. But this weather is not on. I need that Sydney sunshine again. I need a nice warm Sydney sunny beach day. Yeah, much better. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sydney.
I'm migrate sometimes, I migrate sometimes. All my friends are saying that I waste my time, that I waste my time. I don't wanna tell you, I know if you care. Repeating my mind, rolling around, stuck in your bed. Burning temptation, I just cannot hide it.
Man, it is so good to be back in Sydney. For those of you who don't know, I actually lived in Sydney for 2 years before I started this vlog. In fact, the very first episode of the vlog, episode 1, actually I don't even think it is episode 1, it was like a little teaser sort of trailer for the vlog, starts in Sydney, and I'm explaining why I'm starting to do the go before you don't vlog. But at the end of that teaser trailer, I end up in Vietnam. But I was here for 2 years before that and I didn't vlog or blog or do anything like that. I really should have. Anyway, we're here now. But I wanted to make a video here today talking about how I spent my time during those 2 years it was a working holiday visa, where I used to work, how Kalisi and I met. I just love this city, so I just want to show it off a little bit. So in the 2 years prior to actually coming to Sydney, I worked in a fish and chip shop. So when I arrived in Sydney and I started looking for a job, I thought that's probably a good way to go, to just easily transition from one fish and chip shop job to another, and I could not have been more wrong. This was at the start of November, end of October, start of November 2015. I had no idea how hot it was going to be in Sydney. When the weather is that hot, the last place you want to be, and the last place I wanted to be, was over a giant chip fryer. It was absolutely disgustingly hot. The sweat was just dripping off my nose into the oil. It was a terrible, terrible move. The second job I had in Sydney was for an incredible company called Bridge Climb. If you haven't heard of them, they're the company that do the guided tours up the arches of the Harbour Bridge. Brilliant, brilliant activity. It's probably #1 thing to do if you come to Sydney. We're not going to be doing it today because I can't afford that, but brilliant place to work. If anyone's coming on a working holiday visa and you're looking for a really fun, cool job with flexible hours, Bridge Climb is the place for you. I worked in the front desk, like the reception, guest relations, actually it was called climber relations area. I wasn't one of the tour guides that took people up on the arches. Man, what a cool job that would be. Maybe I'll do that at some point in the future. But this job, I still maintain, is my favourite job. It's the best job I've ever had, and it's also where Kalisi and I first met.
Oh, sir, how are you? Lovely to see you.
And that's actually where we met, right down there on that desk, right at that spot, right there. So the problem with the Australian working holiday visa is that you can only work in one place for 6 months. After 6 months working at Bridge Climb, I could no longer work there and I had to go and find another job. And I was a bit worried about that because I loved my job at Bridge Climb so much. I didn't want to finish my time in Australia on a downer with a job that I didn't enjoy. Fortunately, that wasn't the case, and I found 2 jobs after Bridge Climb, 2 amazing jobs. The first one is right here, the Sea Life Sydney Aquarium in Darling Harbour. It was just such a fun job. Literally my job was to learn about the different areas inside the aquarium and give talks all through the day. And there was always like loads of little kids in there and you got to have fun with them and get them to pretend to be a penguin and things like that. And it was just such a great time. So I used to do glass bottom boat tours as well, where I'd take like families and guests onto a little boat. And you just navigated that boat across the top of the Great Barrier Reef tank in there, and you could see all the sharks and the fish swimming beneath the boat, and you just explained to them what types of fish are in there and all these facts and figures, and it was just great time. I never once felt like I was working when I was there. It always felt like fun. Great place to work. So when I applied for my job at Sea Life, I also applied for another job at the Sydney Tower Eye, which is the tallest point in Sydney, and I got that job as well. Luckily, they're run by the same company, Merlin Entertainment, so the two general managers figured out a way that I could work 3 shifts at the Tower Eye and 2 shifts at the Sea Life. I really enjoyed working at the Tower Eye as well. I feel like I'm just so lucky I had so many good jobs in Sydney. When I worked here, it was $28 to come up to here, which is the observation deck. The price has now gone up to $29, but I have to say, being up here right now, I can tell you, it's worth the extra dollar. Beautiful, beautiful views. Well, that's it, you're all caught up. Now you know what I was doing for the 2 years before we started the vlog. Make sure you tune in next time and I'll fill you in on what I was doing for the 27 years before that.